Hey, it is Mr. Brenner here from Action Karate. I'm with the Vadsek family. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you guys tell us a little bit about your background and your son John?
Sure. Do you want to start?
No, you can start.
Okay. My name's Karen.
I'm John.
Our son is John. He is 15 years old. We live in Pennsauken, New Jersey. We're both nurses at Fox Chase Cancer Center. John went to school at Holy Cross in Cinnaminson, so we were familiar with Action Karate being in the neighborhood.
St. Charles.
At St. Charles.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's now at Holy
Okay.
Cross.
Okay, great. So, how old was John when he first started training with us?
He started in 2014, so he would have been he was 8, so he was going on 9. So that's when he started.
Yeah. It was January 14th.
Yeah, so it's 7 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So,
A long
why
time.
did you first? Yeah, it is a long time. Thinking back now is wild. So, why did you first join the program?
Good question. We were just talking about this. So John at 7 and 8 really started to develop some behavioral kind of issues, dealing with self-control, kind of getting along with his peers. He's an only child, so doesn't really have that connection with siblings and dealing with siblings at home. We did some group activities like soccer, but again, he had issues kind of dealing with some of his teammates and such. And your nephew, John's nephew in Norway, actually started when he was young in Taekwondo and really saw the benefits of like a martial arts program for him and helping him come out of his shell and some of the issues that he was having. So we thought that was a great opportunity. Maybe we could try it with John also, maybe develop some self-control and discipline and get a little bit more physically active. So we actually did try being in Pennsauken. We tried a local dojo in our area, and we went to the first class and they just threw him into the class. And it was just like, all right, follow along. And he was really lost and he was really intimidated by the whole process. And we left and he was really upset. And he's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to do it. So we knew, we still thought karate was the right way to go for him. It just wasn't the right place for us at that time. So again, being in him going to school in Cinnaminson, we knew Action Karate was around. So with your great advertising and the signs outside, with coming in for a free demonstration and a free class, we thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And we love the fact that the first time that we came, we were greeted at the door. We had our own private lesson in the vault, and it was really a one-on-one with the instructor to kind of go through things and really engage him and get him excited about it. So it was taking that personal time to really meet with him, learn why we were there, talk to John one-on-one to make him feel comfortable. We didn't get that at the other facility, so this was a really great experience when we came, 7 years ago.
So it's really that personal touch that you appreciated more than anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really getting to know John, what his interests were, just getting to know him, and just everybody was very personable the first time that we came, saying hi. As soon as it felt like an episode of Cheers when you walk in, it was like, hey, John, like everybody's always saying, all the instructors are always saying, hi to the children, hi to the parents, high-fiving back in the day when you could high five and come in.
Yeah.
So it's always such a family feel.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that it was the right place for him. And since I'm talking now, I mean, I have coworkers who have their kids in karate elsewhere, and they were looking, and I have told them Action Karate. And there's a couple that are doing it outside the city, not in Jersey, but other places, because I said that's where you want to go.
Really cool. So I know you had a recommendation, right, from a family member,
right?
But why did you guys want him to do it? What did you want him to get out of it?
Yeah, like I said, we were really struggling at that time with his behavior, and the self-control was a problem. Anytime he didn't like anything, he would really kind of lash out and just trying to reel that in. And it was affecting even school and interaction with his peers at that time. It was such a reactive process for him that anything that didn't go his way, he reacted right away, and it wasn't always pleasant. So we really wanted to find something to help him with the self-control and the discipline, and to help build his confidence, and really just build him up at that time. So we looked into different, again, group sports wasn't really working for him, and we did some research about martial arts after talking to our nephew in Norway and how well he was doing and how much he came out of his shell and how much he was prospering. And we did some more research on the different kind of programs and thought, well, karate really might be something he'll be interested in.
Okay, that's awesome. So what do you feel like we implemented, or what do you feel like that we did that helped him with his confidence and maybe some of his self-control?
I think, one of the great things about the action program is it's not only the physical elements, so the push-ups, the sit-ups, the jumping jacks, and then you have your karate aspects, obviously, but then also the lessons of the week. When you sit the kids down and you go over a lesson with them and say, this week we're talking about self-discipline, or we're talking about self-confidence. And I think those were key for him, is hearing that other people have gone through those struggles and have overcome it. And that's been a real key and a good lesson for him. And then we can come home and because we go to class and we're listening, we can continue to reiterate those stories with him and work on the same, repeat the same lesson over for him. So to say, you can get frustrated, and that's okay. The way that you handle it and the way that you react is the key. So lessons that you learn in karate of perseveration and, self-control and confidence are reflected not only in class, but all throughout your life. We need it as adults. You need to learn it now as a child. So it's really been able to kind of weave it through. And it's even helped us, as a parent, as I said, continue those lessons that we can carry them through and continue them in the home. As we know, parenting's not easy. There is no book on this. And, again, he's an only child, so we only get one shot at this with one child. So they say it takes a village, and the village can be in any forms, whether it's karate, school, extended family and neighbors. So, Action Karate has definitely been our extended family.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. So what do you feel like the outcome has been for him? Like, what do you feel like all the skills that he's learned, whether it's the lesson of the week or pushing himself physically, like, what do you feel like he's gotten out of it?
You want to take this one?
Yeah. He has gotten, I think he's become more like for us to rely on him, like he does take a little control of his own life, that he can, he could be home by himself. He would do his homework by himself without anyone pushing him. Try to, he's not very good really with initiating chores, but he will do them if we ask him to. And that's something, when he started, of course, 7 years different, but he wouldn't have done if it hadn't been for this. Mm-hmm. So even though he says he's a shy person, I think it has opened him up. Not being so introvert anymore, So physically, it could have it could have been better from his side too physically, but it is definitely better than nothing, which it would have been. if he hadn't started.
Sure. So I know throughout his journey, he's tried to quit and stop many, many times, right? And I just know that from just the conversations that we've had, plus, like I said earlier to you guys, I'm sure there's lots of conversations that I'm not a part of, right? That happens. So tell me about that. Like, tell me about the times he's tried to quit and kind of how those conversations have gone.
Sure. So, I mean, he was extremely gung-ho in the beginning. Belt after belt was wanting to go to class, would, be like, come on, we're going to class. Like, so he really initiated and really got into it and really liked it. I think probably one of the biggest issues that we ran into, and I'm sure a lot of parents do, is once we introduced Xbox and he got an Xbox and it flicked that switch to, the electronic part and getting online all the time. That probably caused the biggest hurdle of getting him to, stop the Xbox and now it's time to go to class. So that developed into a real challenge. The interesting thing has always been, though, as much as, we can talk him through and say, we're going to go to class, letting him choose which weeks that he wanted to go to class, putting that back onto him. So that definitely helped. That if he wanted a break in the beginning of the week and then we'll go to class at the end of the week, or vice versa, let's get the classes done in the beginning of the week and then you have more time at the end of the week, kind of thing. So putting that control back into him. The interesting part has always been, as much as he fights us, once he goes, he comes home, his attitude is totally 180. So he could be stomping and crying when we're kind of dragging him out the door to go. But when he comes home, it's nonstop. Mom, this is what I did today. Look at what I learned today. Look at this kick. Look at this punch. Look at all these things I learned. I'm like, so you're happy you went? Yeah. Were you glad that we made you go? Yeah, you were right. So it's every single time. So now as he's older and he can understand that and can be like, it's not as much of a fight now, because he realizes how much he's benefited, how much he enjoys it, how much he enjoys seeing his instructors and seeing his friends, and what new technique he's going to, learn.
Right.
And the physical change that he's had. I mean, he's growing. He's a solid guy. He's a solid boy that he's really turning into, and the muscles that he's developing. And, so just all positives that he can now, as he's gotten older, really reflect on and say, oh yeah, they were right. So.
And I think a lot of parents, if their child tried to quit a bunch of times, it's a lot easier to just say, oh, okay, fine, I don't want to deal with that. I'm not dealing with this crying, not dealing with these outbursts, like, forget it. Like, I'm not dealing with this today, especially after a long work day, right? Like, who wants to deal with that? So why was it important to you that he stuck with it and you didn't let him say, okay, just play Xbox, or okay, you can quit, whatever?
Yeah. Like you said, there's been plenty of times that, we've been on that verge and we've come to you or Mr. McQuaid to talk those things over. We've had our own discussion. And as he's gotten older, we kind of have put that into his, be like, okay, you want to quit, it's up to you.
Right.
But you have to go back to your instructors and tell them that that you don't want to do it anymore. That it's your responsibility. You're taking that action and making that decision and putting that, back into his wheelhouse of, this is what you're going to do. We knew in the end that if we let him quit, that he would be upset with himself later down the line, that he didn't see it through, and that we would be upset for him for not, seeing it through. So John just got his adult black belt. I mean, he's gotten his junior black belt, and now he's an adult, first degree black belt. So senior black belt. Yeah. So it's been an amazing transformation to, once we got through his junior black belt, we kind of thought he was going to stop. I think we all thought he was going to stop. Yep. But he was so then reinvigorated that he achieved that. And we have his belt rack that we could put his belt and he could see going up the chain of each belt. And then he got a second belt rack and he wanted that one filled. So I think it was, the fact that he knew that he didn't want to quit and he didn't want to give up in the end. And as much as he fought us, he did always come around. So it's not easy. It was tears on all three of our parts, some nights, but really that perseverance and always taking those lessons back and saying, this is what it is, John. If it was easy, everybody would be walking around with a black belt, but they're not. So, you do got to put effort into it. Just like you've become really good at Xbox, you're really good at karate too, but it takes practice and it takes patience.
And I also think every time we've talked about him quitting and saying, yeah, we're okay with it, when it has come down to it, he didn't want to do it. Like, he didn't want to quit. Like when we said, oh, you have to tell Mr. Brenner or Mr. McQuaid that this is it. And he said, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I just want a break today, and it's not always easy to say no. In terms of like, yeah, you have to go to class, but sometimes we can be pushed over too, and it's sometimes easier to let it slide than not. So, but we're very happy that he stuck with it. We stuck with it. You guys stuck with it. So because you guys have been a big part of it too.
Yeah, and I think making him, like, putting the responsibility on him, like, hey, we're not quitting for you. Like, if you quit, you're gonna do it on your own, right?
Exactly.
And then sometimes it's like, oh, well, if I have to do it on my own, well, I'm not willing to do that. But once he gets in, he has a great time, right? It's just like getting over that hump.
Yeah.
And one of the most common things that parents come to us about, and they say their child wants to quit, and I'll start to diagnose it. It's like, okay, why do you think they want to quit? And it's like, I don't know. Like, he likes it when he's there, same exact thing. Now they, okay, well, what does he or she do before they come to karate class? And they'll say, well, they're usually like after school and like playing some video games or watching TV, and then it's time for karate. I'm like, okay, well, do you think any child is going to want to get up from a video game or a TV show to be active, like in that moment? Like, it doesn't matter how motivated the child is. Those games are designed to be physically addicting for kids. Like, there's nothing that's going to be as exciting as that. It's impossible, right? But once you get up and do it, you're happy you did, right?
Exactly.
So how do you think things would be different if you just said, oh yeah, we'll quit for you. We'll call Mr. Brenner, Mr. McQuaid, let him know. Or if he didn't achieve his black belt, like he quit early, like how do you think it would have been different for you guys or for him?
I think he would be definitely struggling with self-confidence at this point. Again, it was a big year in 2020 with the fact that he graduated 8th grade and was entering high school. As we know, it's a challenging time, but I think he, has really, with the karate, has developed his self-confidence and the determination, and knowing that even though entering high school was going to be a challenge and a new environment, he really could walk in there with his head held high. So I think if he didn't have that background and it was just video games all the time, I don't think he, as John said earlier, as outgoing. I don't think he would be able to engage with, new friends if he didn't have that, the skills that he learned in karate. So I think we would definitely be seeing a different John Christian if karate hasn't been in his life for the past 7 years.
Yeah. No, I have no doubt.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that.